My name is I was at birth. My parents named me Peter ojonugwa. Peter because my parents are Christian, and then ojonugwa because they are Igala. And then my dear Peter ojonugwa ameh. My grandfather's name is Ameh Denke. So that is the father to my own late dad, my wonderful dad. His name is Yakubu Ameh. My own dad's name is actually Yakubu. So I was born in Lagos, Shomolu, number in Akonde Street in Shomolu. I grew up in my young brothers. I grew up in Adumu, my village. I also grew up partly in Abuja. I've been in politics for a while. I worked closely in 2007 with Dr. Ojius Okalu when he ran for president and came to us. He was somebody who actually, through the party, I got into politics and rose from the ward level, local government level as chairman to state level as chairman. I became national organizing secretary of PPA. I became national secretary of PPA and became national chairman. And thereafter, there's an association, there's a group, a coordinating council formed by the Independent Electoral Commission and the UNDP Project 2 in order to be able to coordinate the affairs of political parties. The Interparty Advisory Council, I was elected as the National Secretary of the Interparty Advisory Council in 2013. I was re-elected unopposed in 2014. In 2018, I was elected as the National Chairman of the Interparty Advisory Council. And also re-elected unopposed in 2019. Why I say unopposed, every time I contest an election, because of the way my attitude towards governance is and because of my determination to be able to bring transparency, to bring accountability, and bring probity to public offices, I'm always elected unopposed. Every time I had to handle any office, my coming in might be a lot of trouble, but when I start to do the work, I don't really have competitors because I try to be very transparent. And when we're forming the opposition coalition in 2019, I was appointed, that was an election, I was appointed by my peers as the National Secretary of the Coalition of United Political Party. And later on, I'm the acting chairman of the United Political Party, which is called COP. I started my early education in primary school in Shomolu, but I only did primary one. My parents took me to their village. My parents were in Lagos, so a lot of people were wondering, even for me, I was wondering why would my parents, be in Lagos, enjoying light, electricity, and then take me to the rural forest village of Adumu, where I eventually stayed with my grandmother. And I was farming. My siblings were in Lagos. I was going to the river in America to fetch water, Ubele to fetch water. And then I finished my primary school in 1988 in Adumu, and then started the Adumu Community Secondary School. But in JS1, my parents again decided that I've learned enough through my cultural attachment to my people, and that I should come to Lagos. I was taken to Lagos where I was enrolled in the Kogi College, and eventually I went to Kogi College, ADSS, and then finished secondary school. Started business. I finished secondary school. I had diploma in international evangelism, a diploma in computer science, and then I started business in Coca-Cola. I was a major distributor of Coca-Cola in Exit. I was a major distributor. I was into selling breweries too at different level, but the one I had certification for to be a distributor in the diamond category was Coca-Cola. I run that business for a long time. Then I started my computer school, electric computer, where I graduated over, close to 1,000 persons. I was a teacher there. I'm talking slowly now because I don't know how to talk small because of the teaching job I undertook while I was teaching at the computer school. And then I run other business. I was a major business person, around the Asukuru, Abacha Barak. Everybody knows me there. So I did all those business for a while. And then I had BSc in economics from University of Abuja, master's degree in political economy and developmental studies. And I've just recently started defending my thesis at the University of Nasarawa State University, where I'm also studying PhD in political economy and developmental studies. So these are just a brief of my journey. I've been committed to unapologetically an advocate for inclusivity, a multi-party democratic system that will accommodate every downtrodden and give chance to everybody to participate. That's been my trajectory in party management and and politics in Nigeria and business life? I think it has declined because people became individually, individualistic in their approach to the community development of our people. Mani olanigala de ema milu to en lo ke che yo ke fa bo e yo ke di mada wa ba me mu do kete kuma de ke lu da ma me de ke la chen ke ade ki da nigala yo ba the match ele anigala ha go to. Look at what Achema did. Look at he took away his personal interest and look at the collective good of our people. Not that he invented rocket, not that he invented something that was greater than rocket, something that talks about our collective survival, something that talks about that our identity should not be diminished. So a major problem became the fact that people now saw that their personal survival is greater than the collective survival of the Igala kingdom. And that has been what is militating against our own growth and development. If you look at the kingdom that were contemporary with us, even the kingdom, the Benin kingdom, the Oyo kingdom, they are greater than what we have today because we are really weakened both our institution and our people. Because if we have invested more in the land over the last years in the 90s that 91 that the Kogi State was created, you know that what we would have had would have been a greater achievement and prosperity for our people. It's really saddening, to see that with the level of endowment that we have, we are blessed with so much natural resources, so much gift that God has given to the 9 local government, including the BASA, which we have human capital capacity, and one of the greatest resources of any survivor of any economy is for you to have young population. We have young population that are, been used in a way that is not beneficial to our kingdom, violence, political turmoil, and this is not their fault. It's because they have clearly stated that my idle man is a devil's workshop, and those who have heard government, you can't see any infrastructure. Being that we have had successful governors from Wada to Ibro to Audu. Yes, there was a university that Audu brought, but what we would have done would have been very more, wealth driven to be able to develop the artisan culture of our place, the small and medium scale enterprise, which is mainstay of any economy. And look at the beauty. We have the Baji where we could cross into end of the Oluchi, end of the Delta community speaking area of Delta State. We have the Ida that you could cross to Anam. You have the Olama Boros that is bordering and Enugu and other places, including Akpanya and all the other places that. So that opportunity that we had were not properly harnessed, and because when you don't create job, when you don't create an enabling environment for jobs to be created, or for people to individually create jobs and survive, then you will be welcoming a situation where violence and uncertainty becomes the major order of our community. Well, as it is today, we have a great opportunity to come together, to speak in one voice, to liberate our people from the shackles of those who have used political patronage to undermine our collective survival, our collective progress, and our development as a people. Because without that, it will be so difficult. Politics play a major role in giving out power and taking power. Our people are very resolved people. I grew up as an Igala person, living with the pride of being an Igala person, wearing that badge of being an Igala person. And that badge has been very something that I carry on my head. We can actually, the money, I remark, Chugo Bujo, Akamagbo, Chubimoto. Igbo Bujo don't makale, Imoto don't magbole. But are they putting it to work? Are they putting it to use? So we need to be able to see that some of these actions that we're taking are tailored towards the survival of our people. And I love the young people of our place. I've been with a lot of them. I see how energetic they are and how the system is trying to defeat them. But we can't allow the system to win because it's the people that control the system. And without the people, there's no system. So if you allow the system to darken our shine, to take away our progress, to take away our opportunities, then we'll continue to language. If we can't save it now, we are leaving a problem for the future, so we're saying our children should come and save it. But if people hold power for too long, and you are not opportune to be able to have your own power and put people in power that will be able to be loyal to your tribal inclination, your tribal identity, that will refuse to be loyal to your tribal identity, then you have a problem. Then you will not be able to create that culture of tribal patronage, tribal support that will be able to help our people to grow. And we must build an egalitarian society to see that we're all equal. Look at Gabi Boy, LAT Delta State, the big Delta Machi Boy, Manibo Amashi, Eleta ya Ibeki Chani, Machi Boy, Manibo Amashi, check it there on Amado, Ibeki there on River State, Manibo Amashi, but Elanigala, Machane Kola, Ibeki we can have different tones, we can have different, but we hear ourselves. If I speak, will you hear? If you speak, will I hear? That is what makes a language. No language survive by reducing a part of it and saying, no, we need less. We want us to, this group to be special. State and Yanibo. I'm a state Mama Demon. Ochaka Mama Nichima, Manichi Kumaka Mama Bon, Michel Wani Woyo, Manichi Maka, Keneki, Dinoka Gomedima, Maniki Bolama, set tribe of Maka there, or Kumadama. Chimani Chimani, Eletiboka Mado, Abulezibo, Ichi Mashoje, Mado Amushu, Umiake, make the Luto of make a Kawa and Mayago, but Mani Central Language, Mane do Kolama, or Che Mado. So you cannot have our side, we do discrimination, we reject our people, we reject our ability to be collective in our understanding and our nature to be enterprising. So what we should do as a people, from what I have seen, is that we have enough knowledgeable people, enough exposed people to be able to come together, to put them together and say, this is the time for us to save this country, for us to save our people, for us to save our communities, the Basa land, the Igala land. We must be able to come together and say, this is the best time to be able to create an enduring legacy that when we look back, even in our old age, because they say elders plant trees that they know they might not even enjoy the shade of those trees. And you have on the people say, oh, they're giving SSA now. They're giving a promise where you could get 500,000. Why won't you go and collect it and fight your people? In our mother, there are some things you will see that you will eat that will destroy your future. There are some you will reject to protect your future and the future of your children. It is not about what we eat today, but what will posterity remember us for. Everybody that have had power before, because those who are not had power, you can't hold them responsible. The people who have the power to create an enabling environment, to create jobs, are those who have been elected before. If you are elected before to make law, you are supposed to make law for the good governance and development of your community. You are supposed to make laws that will protect the interest of your community. It's not about just talking about, that we came to renovate, that you came to renovate it, or you came to do all this one. No, it's not about that. It's about, do you put things in the budget that will end up creating quill acquisition center at a higher scale level that can, allow our people to have such level of opportunity to create jobs themselves. Because you know that this is the only thing that can work. This is the only thing that will be able to help our people to foster. The responsibility lies in the front of those who have stood in the corridor of power, those who have been elected to represent our people, who have not shown leadership. Most of them haven't shown leadership. It's the truth. If they have shown, they think that by dividing us, by doing all sorts of other things and doing selective appeasement, I give this, I don't give this, I give that, and that kind of division will be able to give them the opportunity to rule us, because it's a divide and rule approach that those who have had power have done. But if they have done something unifying, I think Igala people are one of the most appreciative people I've ever met, one of the most understanding people who have endured over time during even the cost of bad governance. So if they have done the right thing, I think our youth should have been able to have more opportunity to flourish. We are very courageous young people. I've met them. I've interacted with them. I've seen how it's dexterous, how determined they are to be able to project the image of their own people, how to be able to project the image of the Igala kingdom. They are very enthusiastic about being an Igala person. But being enthusiastic and being interested does not only create opportunity for you. Those who you elect, do they have the collective interest of our people at heart? Do they believe that our people should have a better standard of living created by an enabling system that can create opportunity for the young people? Do they believe in that? So we have not seen that on a high scale. There are places, the whole of entire Igala land and Abasa, 9 local government have no electricity. Electricity is a major source of creating enterprising society anywhere in the world. if you want to create an enterprising community, you want to create an entrepreneurial, spirit in the young mind of the young people, you must be able to have electricity so that they can apply their art, they can have opportunity to access to energy. Because energy security is very important. So over the last many years, no electricity anywhere. So how do you tell us that we'll be living in darkness and government have not been able to come to our aid? So this is not what individual can do. I can buy 500 poles of electricity pole today. I can buy cables. But where are the substations? Where are the power generating stations? How many individuals can be able to do that? So, but we need to be empowered to be able to make proposal and speak to power and speak to people that we know, and then use that power to be able to push policy that will come in the way of bringing light to our people, and then bringing this generating electricity for our people. So this is very important, aspect of being in government. I do not blame the young people who have other had opportunity, the Gala young people. You go across every state. You come to Abuja, you go to place. You see how hardworking our young people, whether they're working in hotels, whether they're working in filling stations. They want something more. They want something better. But there's nothing at home. A lot of Benin people are working in Edo. A lot of Eastern people are working in Benin. A lot of Anambra people are at home. Most of our people, when they graduate from university, there's nothing in the 9 local governments, whether in Igala Basa, they want to keep you home, except maybe the small hotels that are surviving, which can be called a motel. So that is not enough. So we need to be able to see how do we expand, to bring industries, bring production centers that can help us. Look at Abajana today. It was built by our own brother, the former governor of Kogi State. He's in Abajana there, the cement plant. If something like that is in AMPA or co-processing zone or in any of the Igala part of the speaking Igala land and Basa, you will see that there will be less tension in our community. Like I tell young people, you cannot continue in this vicious cycle of trying to, they don't help us. We must fight for the opposition. They must manipulate us to rig election. Let's just get what we will get. If they give you 500,000 for rigging election, can I sustain you for 4 years? If they give you 1 million to mobilize you to rig election, can I sustain you for 4 years? Can I sustain you for a long time? Because every money you get to rig an election is a step away from destroying the entire community. So they need to get this very right. They are good young people, very enterprising, like I've said, but we need to they need to stop themselves from destroying what is to benefit our people. Our people are good people. Everywhere you meet an Igala person, you are happy to meet them. They will entertain you. They give you water, which is our culture for welcoming people. So that's what makes us different from a lot of other culture. And if you meet people who are from Basa, who I've lived with some of them in the barracks, and wonderful people who are also cultures are not really that much different. So we need to be able to see that nobody is left behind. Nobody is seen as somebody that is not important to run or to manage affairs of our people. No matter how young they are, no matter how old they are, we cannot do it separately. We must do it collectively, whether young and old. We must come together and say, this land needs to be saved. And it is our responsibility to save this land and bring prosperity and bring growth and bring development to the Igala Basa Kingdom. Imagine if the world hears that the whole of the entire Igala land has no electricity. So that means we are not giving the opportunity for our young people to put their productive capacity into use. So this is what I will be pursuing. I will be looking at how agro-allied products, farming system with the kind of vast arable land that the Kogi State has. If you put the entire southeast in Kogi State, it will swallow it. The entire southeast. Look at the kind of land we have. Our land is not just large. Where they are cultivatable. They are good land, arable land that can be used to cultivate any kind of product. Look at cashew. Kogi State is a producer of cashew. What is the benefit? We don't even have a processing unit in Kogi East that could have, even generate local wealth for our people. Our people suffer and then sell it and then people go and process it. So they don't get the needed resources that has to profit, that has to come from their work in the farm to be able to bring the cashew nut out. So we need to put all these things in proper perspective, work with our people at the local level, and make sure that even if the storage centers, silos, are built so that they can accommodate some of these, products that our people are bringing. Look, if you talk about farming, I grew up, I farmed. I farmed in Kogi State. I farmed, I went to farm. I would do contributory farming, where 10 of us will go to one farm, another 10 will go to the next farm. We were doing that for ourselves and for our parents. So I did that for my grandmother. I did that with my friends. They are still there. Ojonugwa and Co. My friends are there. So it is, if we bring mechanized farming into it, you know how people have energy. The other day, I almost broke down in tears when I said that an Igala boy died in Ondo State because he was doing something over 6,000. And the person said, Imamoje Pegu, Engini, Edonwebo, Akemoje Pegu, around. The guy had to climb the pantry and died. It's something that we have in abundance in our place. So why would an Igala person go to Ondo, go to other people, go and farm, where we have better, horrible, good soil than theirs? Why won't we take that to use? So this is the issue that our people are suffering, and we'll be able to expand the educational sector. Our schools are very embarrassing. There's no doubt. Our primary school, you shouldn't even talk about it. That people are going through, very funny. Look, the school I went to, I even had a course of completely renovating one myself. I've done boreholes in it. I don't believe in charity that has to do with social media, and that is the truth. That's where my strength lies. People talk about being give jobs. If I list the people I gave jobs to, both in there and every other places, the line will be very long. In fact, one of them called me today and said that they should post him for someone. I said, you have gotten a job. I can't be doing that, but I will still try. And if you look at boreholes that we've done, it's not something that these communities knows where we have come to do borehole. They know it, so they will appreciate us when the time comes. But in overall, we must not forget that you can erase everything. Your educational qualification can be taken away from you, but your identity as an Igala person cannot be taken away. It's something that you have the rest of your life to live with. You will live without your identity for the rest of your life. And it's a wonderful identity and a wonderful privilege to be called an Igala person. I appreciate that. And I've seen people come to me, you come and contest election here, we love you, come and contest. And I would just say, if I contest here, what is the benefit to my people? I need to go back to contest and then prove my worth and show that our first time on office, I said in my introduction, that when I was elected as the Secretary of Interparty Advisory in 2013, go and ask for our colleagues, ask the people who are there now. It was like war. Even government did not want me to come because I was, a spoken critic of those in power for their very unproductive policies against the Nigerian people and the state. So eventually I won by the standing of the people and my supporters and those who felt that I was the best candidate. In 2014, go and look at the record in INEC. I was elected unopposed because you elect me unopposed if you elect me the first time. The first time might be a little bit, I will explain myself, but the second time, I'm very sure you elect me because to do politics is not elitist. What are people in Kogi does when you elect a senator? It becomes as if it's an elitist position. It is the people's position. I will be in every community even as a senator. I will move around from community even as a senator. I will relate with you. There are people who have been elected as senator and as of who have not visited some local government in today. They have never. They don't even participate in community engagement. They don't have constituency offices. This is an aberration to legislative representation. So this is what I will do differently. I'll make sure these are policies will be very impactful. It will be directly affecting the farmers, their product. If they don't have anywhere, they will have where to store it so that it will not go to waste. It will directly inform those artisans who are within our local communities. It will directly impact those who are into mining and they are being shortchanged by external factors that comes to our place to manipulate and exploit our natural resources. So these are the challenges of our people, and it will be an issue that I will put on the front burner in my legislative participation at the Red Chamber. I want to say first of all that the Nigerian state is wasting a lot of money on frivolities, on things that are not going to be productive in any way. Remember this in this our country where Professor Yemi Osinbajo was doing traders' money, was sharing money in the market, 10,000, 50. That can never, as an economist, I can tell you, can never take anybody out of poverty. It can never take it. But if you create a system where if you find that one person is very productive enough and you carry 10,000 into 1 million, you carry 50 million and give to the person to start a business. That person will grow, expand, and employ people, and there will be direct and indirect jobs created in that line. So this is very important that for us to look at, how to promote our enterprising young people who have the skill to do what they need to do. We need to be able to do that. And when it comes to federal jobs,
Federal jobs is actually something that should be driven by quota. What I know is that what belongs to our people, they know. I have a lot of friends at the National Assembly, whether it's the Red Chamber and Great Chamber, who are my friends. Some have who worked under me. They have worked with me, some have worked under me. And I can tell you that it is the ability to stand and promote the interests of your people that determines the kind of jobs they get. It is not this job that people flash on Facebook, you get 5 people job. It's like it's like selective appeasement. When you give 5 people, the other 30,000 people are waiting. It will soon be my turn. It's manipulation. It is not something done out of genuine interest. If you want to do genuine interest, you know at the end of the day, what is that quota that is supposed to come to us? Are they actually giving it to us? Where is government shortchanging our people when it comes to job, when it comes to do such opportunities? We will drive that and we will be vocal and be open and be transparent in our drive towards making sure that our quota is actually given to us. And for me, I won't stop at that because I do not see the federal government capacity to employ the teeming population of youth that are coming out of our university, that are coming out of our college of education, our polytechnics. I don't see their capacity. What I would do is to create an enabling environment where small, medium-scale enterprises will survive, where they can, blossom, where those who have the intention to run business in our local communities, develop our local communities, and improve the economy of our local community, get access to resources. They get access to that resources. They become a center for transportation of goods and services from our place to other states, and then they create that jobs and then employ more people within our within the territory called Igala Basa, senatorial district. So this is very important. This is the next level of how I think we can free our people from this unemployment cycle. Because if you have, for instance, the federal government has put embargo on job creation, the only places they gave job to was the fake agency they approved 300 persons for. So that's the only place that we saw that they gave employment. But for the other, this thing, they have put embargo and they've been doing selective employment for people of the elitist children. People, I didn't come from riches. I didn't come from one. But I walked my way and I found mercy in the sight of God. I found grace in the sight of God. And I had the opportunity that I have today because it's not just only hard work. God intervenes and God gets involved in these things. This is the affair of men. I believe that there's a spirit beyond this. But for me as a Christian, I believe this God Almighty. So I stood on that ground and succeeded. But we shouldn't just rely only the fact that we have to be Christians, we have to be Muslims to be able to get a job. We should rely on holding those who have been elected accountable to their responsibility so that when they cannot do what they are elected to do, they should not be given another pass to return back to office. And that is the same promise I make with our people today. If you try us for the first time and you see the kind of egalitarian society our intentions intend to build, I think you want to try us for a second time. It will be determined if we want to go. But the clear fact remains that we have the great, abundant, arable land in Igala Basa Kingdom. Very resourceful land, and we have very resourceful persons. The individuals are very. Have you been to Ayimba? You walk on the street and you see how hardworking our people are. But that hardworking, and that energetic energy that that they carry around is not bringing out wealth, because we don't have the artisan skillful system that the Igbos have, that they train one to train another to train another. But we can create something that is better than that. We can create this because we are communal kind of people. We believe in cousins, we believe in we believe in grandchildren, we believe in all of this. So if we believe in all of this, this is the reason why our community have not crashed. Because when you have money, you help the next person. When your cousin have money, he send you 10,000. That is the communal economic system that have kept our community across Nigeria, across Kogi, Igala, Basaland from not crashing. Because if we are not communal in nature, if we are not family oriented in nature, and we're like the people from maybe Britain, some people might have gone crazy because if you are not selling 10,000 to them, they won't be able to survive. But today we have that, and we should not always depend on that. What we should depend on is that people have been elected to carry out these responsibilities. When we tell you who your local government chairman, there's no local government in Nigeria. I can tell you that from my experience in advocacy and trying to write, about it in my thesis in master's degree level. There's no local government. All of them are just puppet of those in power, those governors who sends them their transport money and send them their fuel money. So we can't depend on that. We need to depend on the National Assembly, legislators that have access to lawmaking that can be very effective to community development. And for me, I said about working to pursue the quota that is responsible and working for every ministry or to any parastatal agency seeking for those opportunities that belongs to our people. I will make sure that I will tailor lawmaking to the fact that they will provide enabling environment for those young artisans and legit young people who are enterprising to thrive within our communities and create job that will be sustaining and that will expand the economy of our people. Because we have land borders in so many states that could have been beneficial to our survival, but yet been detrimental to our growth. Because you can't imagine if a bridge has been been constructed between Ida and Agbenabode. Everybody coming from the south today will not pass anywhere. They will pass through that side. They won't go and be turning through Okene because transportation and movement of persons always help commerce, help communities to prosper. So we would have done that. So we will focus on making sure that we put it as a federal budget because it's not the state waterways. We will put it as a federal budget that will be able to help people to have access between those two communities and those two states, to cross easily and then promote commerce. Commerce will be my major purpose because with commerce we can drive the economy. With commerce we can create jobs.